Typical DualShock 4 battery level low. Oh, please. All right, we'll jump into a quick recap of where we're at and kind of some of the stuff that we covered in our last video. This is part 82, last part obviously being part 81. Simple numerical math, easy, right? So obviously following the story and kind of where we're at with John Marston right now, he recently was able to get a loan. Ultimately, he was able to invest in a new property now at Beecher's Hope, moving from Pronghorn Ranch and working with Mr. Geddes as a ranch hand. Abigail and Jack have obviously left John, so John has invested in this Beecher Hope property. All that was on this property was a dilapidated home, though. We finished riding across the country and reuniting with our fallen loved ones from the camp. We saw all 9 graves, and we did 3 out of the 4 encounters for those who were still alive. We were not able to do Tilly's, though, so we returned to Beecher's Hope. Uncle and Charles were there. We rendezvoused with them, and Uncle basically made it clear that, if John wants to move forward and attract Abigail and Jack back to this property, he's gonna need a better structure on the property. He's gonna need a better living conditions. He needs a new building. So Uncle suggested that they tear down this dilapidated house, this cabin on Beecher's Hope, which we did. Charles gave me a hand in knocking it down with the horses. And Uncle suggested that we head into Blackwater to the lumber and hardware store, where we can look into investing in a new building to put on our property. So that's kind of where we're at in the story right now. That's kind of what we'll do when we jump into the next story mission here. We've also addressed some stranger missions. There's still some loose ends with some stranger missions, but most importantly, we were able to finish the Arcadia for Amateurs stranger mission with Albert Mason, the wildlife photographer. We completed that in the last video. So right now, there's really no outstanding stranger missions other than the ties that bind with Mr. Black and Mr. White. I don't know that we can continue this as John Marston. I would have continued it as Arthur if I had kind of known what to do. That was never really made apparent, or I didn't realize it anyways. So if I do get the opportunity to continue that as John, I definitely will. But other than that, not really a lot outstanding. We also finished up with Marko Dragic. We were able to get the electric lantern out of it. And ultimately, there's still a little bit more with this Marko Dragic story. Obviously, he had this Frankenstein-like robot that he had made in his lab. Marko Dragic was a little bit of a freak of nature. And there was little notes around his lab and stuff about him conquering the world. And one of my comments kind of addressed that it is kind of a relief that Marko Dragic is taken care of, for lack of better terms, because no telling what this man could have built, what kind of chaos this one man could have caused. But this robot that he made, we noticed that it had escaped from his lab. When we found Marko Dragic dead in the lab, the robot was nowhere to be found. Apparently, you can follow this electric lantern. It becomes brighter when you're headed in the right direction. And if you follow this electric lantern, it will lead you to the Western Grizzlies Mountains, and it'll lead you to this robot. So there is still that that I know that we can continue. But that's it for stranger missions. That's really the only lead on any of the stranger missions that we have right now. I won't be doing that in this video, but it is on my list of things that I would like to continue to address. So no stranger missions ongoing right now, but we will try and see out the last part of this Marko Dragic mission. Even though the mission is done, this is like an optional thing where you can kind of find the robot. There's probably an achievement associated with it or something like that. So that is something that we could pursue for sure. We also went to the stables. I had neglected Thief for a long time, our Morgan horse. I addressed everything. I was able to get that horse back to baseline, kind of. and we invested in a new horse. I had about $600. I think we sunk about $300. Apparently, the large discount that I had in the horse was due to my high honor. Obviously, I'm sure there are many benefits that will come as a result of having high honor. I'm sure there are alternative benefits that come as a result of having low honor in some areas. But we were able to get this new horse. It's a workhorse, I believe. And so it's not a racehorse, it's not a war horse, but it's going to get the job done. Clutch is the name, rhyming it after Dutch. Clever, I know. The names continue to get more and more clever. And then really the only other thing that we did was we witnessed a hanging in Valentine, and I thought that was noteworthy, seeing as how we haven't really witnessed anything like that. Supposedly there are gallows spread out across all kind of municipalities across the map. But to have been there kind of at the right place and the right time to witness it, I thought was kind of cool. It made it very real. It was there was kind of like a realism to it. It was very I can't think of the right word to use, but it sets the scene. It sets the scene for sure. It sets the very relevant to the time period. I can't think of the right word to use off the top of my head, but I thought it was a relevant scene. We have one bounty mission in Blackwater posted right now. I want to cover that. I want to do the next story mission, and I also want to grab a new newspaper. We haven't gone through some of the newspaper articles in a while, so that's something that I do want to cover in this video as well. I talked a little bit recently about a lack of update with Reverend Swanson. I think that's one character that I think we can all agree it would be interesting to get an update on. So hopefully we'll be able to acquire some sort of an update on Reverend Swanson. I was able to confirm that fourth random encounter with the people that are still alive, Tilly and Saint Denis, the one that we were not able to get, we weren't able to come across her. It looks like for whatever reason my particular playthrough is bugged. She was not sitting on the bench that she was supposed to. I had one of my viewers confirm that for me. However, I do have an update that I'll kind of give to you manually here. Following the events with the gang, Tilly is married to a lawyer. She's living in a house, presumably in the Saint Denis region. I believe it is in Saint Denis. This is great. It's not an apartment. It's not like a cabin like John was trying to make do with. She's definitely settled down. She's made a life for herself. Kind of like Pearson. Really happy to see that. Apparently she has a baby on the way as well. So that is very good. If you do run into her in Saint Denis and you get that meeting with her, she ends up sending a letter to you back at Beatrice Hope. That probably won't happen in this playthrough now because we didn't trigger that scene with that cutscene with her in Saint Denis, but just interesting to note. And then there's just a couple of concepts of the story that I want to kind of cover here. I talked a little bit about how Susan Grimshaw and Dutch shared a relationship for a time with each other. I mentioned this when we went to see Miss Grimshaw's grave. If you go back to the story, Susan Grimshaw shoots Molly O'Shea, who at that time is the SO, the significant other of Dutch. And the question kind of becomes: has Susan Grimshaw been waiting for this moment the entire time? Has she been waiting for the right moment to shoot Molly O'Shea for a long time? And obviously, you know, it was a purposeful shot. But you have to kind of question her motive there. I feel like there's a lot of underlying kind of layers of complexity in the relationships between the people in the Vanderlyn gang. the stuff that we see on the surface is not maybe indicative of all of the emotions kind of going on at camp at any given time. So I would 100% agree that is an extremely likely explanation. I could totally see Miss Grimshaw shooting Molly O'Shea solely for a jealousy kind of thing. Looks like there was quite a bit of animosity between those two characters, so maybe that sheds a little bit of light on that situation, hopefully a little bit. And then also, I hated on Strauss a lot when we talked about him in the last couple videos. Strauss was obviously the one that ultimately sets Arthur up to contract TB when he beats the crap out of Thomas Downs. That was on a Strauss mission, and then ultimately Arthur dies. But I am going to have to agree with this comment as well, in that Strauss is really more of a catalyst. I like this approach to viewing Strauss, and so I want to emphasize it a bit. Strauss is really just a catalyst. If Arthur had not gotten involved in that situation with Strauss, had not beaten the crap out of Thomas Downs, if that didn't happen, he would have continued being a murderous criminal, likely would have led to his death anyways. But instead, in his sickness, he actually found redemption through his demise. We know by the end, Arthur was coming to more rational conclusions than ever. So this indicates, to me, that Arthur did successfully find redemption. He was able to turn things around a little bit. We know the kind of honor Arthur finished with when he finished his time here with us. Strauss chose Arthur as an enforcer as well, so it's not entirely Strauss's fault. Arthur was known as an enforcer in the Vanderlyn gang. I don't think that Strauss maliciously intended these bad things to happen to Arthur. At the end of the day, Arthur is most responsible for Arthur's death, and he takes full responsibility for that. I think he would 100% take full responsibility for that. I agree with that as well. This is not Arthur's death, and the events are not all on Strauss. So, maybe looking at it in that light, Strauss actually kind of pushed Arthur in the right direction. It's sad the way that things unfolded, but Arthur's demise was really catalyzed by Strauss, and you can't really put a whole lot more on him. We got some weird stuff going on with the load for our file here. Hopefully everything works out. Yeah, I don't want to say that Strauss is wholly responsible for Arthur's death. When you look at the situation, Arthur would not have got sick. Yes, if he had not been led on these missions by Strauss to collect the debts, but he was the enforcer in the camp. Who else would Strauss have chosen to do those missions? Oh, I guess it won't load it because of a server issue or something like that. Oh no, there we go. I don't know what was going on there. Maybe I accidentally clicked the wrong button. Who knows? Very likely. But what, you know, when you look at it in this other light, you know, it's you know, Arthur finding this redemption. Huge plot point. And when I was first going through a lot of these events with Strauss, I didn't realize how impactful those missions with Strauss would be on the entirety of the game. But a large part of the focus of the story revolves around the events with Arthur and Strauss and sort of that time frame. So I like the conversation. Definitely keep the conversation going. It's been very engaging. You know, I try to address as many points as possible. I mean, one thing that you have to know though is, like, I have very little Red Dead experience coming into this playthrough. I've played Red Dead Redemption once, and that was probably about 7 or 8 years ago. This is my first time playing Red Dead 2. I'm not completely familiar with all of the lore in the Red Dead universe. I would say I'm still not 100% with names and all locations and stuff like that. Red Dead is it's such a big game. There's so many plot points. There's so many characters. There's so many events that take place. There's so many side events that transpire. It's really hard to keep track, especially with our stream where you know, all 82 parts have been spread across over a year of streaming this thing. So a lot of events that took place are not necessarily at the forefront of my memory. So I do my best in trying to do memory recall as I play. I'd like to think that, you know, I address a lot of the finer points with the plot as we go along, and I do like to kind of dive into discussion, you know, deep discussion about what's going on. I like that. But, you know, I won't always necessarily you know, get everything right. I'm going to make mistakes. My mind is going to fumble a little bit. I might get confused in some areas with some characters, but I assure you that I'm doing my best. There's a lot happening here, for sure. We probably have almost 200 hours of content, you know, in this playlist alone. It's got to be getting up there now. But I think we've done a good job so far. I think we have a good understanding for the moral of the story, the themes, kind of what's going on with a lot of the major characters. We have had a lot of these in-depth discussions about certain characters, so I love the thinking that we're doing, but sometimes things will get a little bit hazy, for sure, and I do apologize for that, but like I said, there's a lot happening here. So right off the bat, before we even go to that lumber and hardware store, where you got another bounty mission that I want to do here in Blackwater, there may still be several available in Blackwater. We've done all the bounty posters available elsewhere. Just want to make a little bit of extra money here. I don't know if this trip to the lumber and hardware shop is going to cost me. I don't know what the situation is. This is just another thing to kind of get off the map here too.
If it isn't our bounty hunter. Back for more work, I hope. Posters on your wall there.
I wonder if any of these characters from Blackwater now, like maybe these sheriffs in the sheriff's office, made any appearances in the original Red Dead. If there's any throwbacks there. So this is a $75 reward, not bad. It's not necessarily on the lower end of rewards for bounty posters, wanted dead or alive. So we have our choice here, Otis Skinner, one of the leaders of the Skinner brothers and their gang. He is wanted for murder and is suspect in several others carried out by the group. These men are desperate and have been causing mayhem throughout the state. He is believed to be 48 years old, bushy beard with gray blue eyes, is quick in his movement, last seen in the Tall Trees region. This notice takes the place of all previous reward notices. Police Chief O. Dunbar in Blackwater.
You're the Skinner brothers. Well. It's said they took the pelt off a pelt hunter southwest of Manzanita Post.
Well, I shall try and hold on to mine.
Very droll. In all my years of policing, I haven't encountered men such as those. Makes me wish I'd retired sometime heretofore, if I'm frank. Well, good luck and Godspeed.
Retirement looks like it is approaching fast for you, Mr. Dunbar.
Otis Skinner. I'm assuming he's the head of this gang.
They're the Skinner brothers. The clue's in the name, son. The gang doesn't have a head, and I'm sorry to be gruesome, except if you count the ones they cut off.
Well, tell me about him then.
I don't know if he's a savage, a mountain man, or something else. I just know he's made a fair old mess out of everyone's gone after him, and it don't look like he's planning on stopping.
That may not be his plan to make. Oh, thanks for the information.
We'll take them however you find them, alive or dead.
I always forget that you can obtain additional information about the capture of certain bounties by further interrogating the officers at the sheriff's office. He was able to provide me with a little bit more background on the Skinner brothers. One gang we haven't had to deal with a whole lot yet to this point. I think we've dealt with them a little bit more now that we are kind of in the southwest New Austin portion of the map. Tall Trees is an area here is in an area here in New Austin that we are not very acquainted with. This is all part of the map from the first Red Dead game here in New Austin. Just a little bit west of Blackwater. Otis Skinner, one of the leaders of the notorious Skinner Brothers gang. They're the Skinner Bros, so obviously there's not necessarily just one guy leading this gang. It's not like the Vanderlyn gang where it's very clear that there's one individual in charge. He was last seen in the Tall Trees region, wanted dead or alive in Blackwater for a $75 reward. Either or, probably easier to shoot him. When I have come across the Skinner brothers, they've been pretty aggressive ambushes, and stories that I've heard about the Skinner brothers are quite gruesome. With a name like the Skinner brothers, I'm sure headhunting, literal skinning, and Christ, I wouldn't even put cannibalism out of their realm of possibility. They're pretty notoriously awful gang, so it'll be good to kind of address one of the leaders. No better guy to go after someone like Otis Skinner than John Marston, am I right? I think it makes sense to stick with these bounty missions. I'm sure John would want to continue to line his pockets with as much money as possible. As soon as I come to about this area of the map, immediately it screams Red Dead 1. For me anyways. Just all of these like rolling hills and yellow grass. the Tall Trees region, Manzanita Post. A lot of these names are coming back to me as they're mentioned. McFarland's Ranch. I think potentially that's where you start Red Dead. I know that you start at a ranch, and I know I'm probably wrong too. Obviously, Armadillo plays a big role. It's cool. It's cool remembering all of these old places. But again, I mean, I couldn't give you any specifics about things that we did in the original Red Dead. That was a long time ago. Once we come up close to the area here, we'll make sure that we get all equipped. I should have probably gotten a bite to eat. I did at the end of my last stream, but we're underweight, which will increase your core drain rate. Almost like having an illness, like when we had Arthur Morgan, except not quite as dramatic. So we should probably do that when we get back to Blackwater. I always do that. I'm always like, I have to remember to feed my horse and feed myself before I start the stream. And then immediately I just jump right into the first mission I can get my hands dirty with. Not very proactive thinking on my part.
Easy there.
I know it can be hard to sit through a 14-minute intro before we really delve into the meat of the video, but I think the discussions that we've been having around the game have been extremely informative, and also informative to those who are also tuning in. So not just those that are participating in the conversation in the comments, but those that, you know, maybe aren't participating in the conversation, for them to even hear us or watch us engage in conversations about the game. It can be enlightening, for sure, to say the least. I'll take my classic Litchfield repeater. Always got to have a repeater. It's been my sidekick throughout most of this game. And then in gruesome fashion of my own, we'll take the semi-auto shotgun, just because I'm feeling real aggressive myself here. A few videos ago, I snuck into, I think it was for another bounty mission, I snuck into the camp and shot the guy in the head with a shotgun while he was sleeping. Let's see if we can get a little bit more creative with our kill this time. I could maybe go long range with a sniper rifle, but I didn't choose that, so that wasn't my gut instinct. If I get on top of these rocks here, I might be able to look down and get a view into their camp, maybe with the binoculars. If this is where Otis Skinner is, I imagine many other members of the Skinner brothers are around him, protecting him. This is likely a fairly large settlement. I get why this area is called Tall Trees now.
Maybe the world will start thinking that it's good, not you.
We've all come undone.
There you are. That's the spirit. Boy, you caught a whiff of something. Now how about we rest up and go and fly the flag directly?
Otis Skinner, how'd I manage to fall in with you?
Not a crazy amount of guys down there. It is just a little kind of small camp that they have set up. The dog is detecting me, though. They have a dog in the camp, and he is sniffing me out. The guy said, "Oh, do you smell something?" Oh, he's coming up to me. We're gonna have to go guns a-blazing here in a second. Unfortunately, I gotta take this dog out before he causes problems. Shh, it's okay, boy. It's okay. Oh, son of a bitch. They would have heard that go off, but I'm not sure they know what's going on just yet. That did not work out as well as I thought. Stupid dog. Oh, shoot. He's on the run. I'm pretty sure he's on the run, so we gotta go here. Oh, I thought that was him. That was not him. I don't know if I should try to catch him or not. I didn't really give myself a good opportunity going into that one. A stupid dog had to smell me out, eh? Looks like I'm gonna try and go for the kill on this one. We're aiming to kill here. See if I can get a good shot. Go! Not necessarily evident with Otis Skinner here, but one thing that I have recognized, attributed to the Skinners, kind of, is they have a large native affiliation. I find, anyways. I have found a lot of the members of this group are of native origins. I've always found that particularly intriguing. It is evident in the way they dress. Like I said, not so much with Otis Skinner, but with a lot of them, they wear a lot of furs. And the other big kind of dead giveaway is that their main weapon choice is bow and arrow. So you have to wonder if a lot of their ideals are inspired by the native ways as well. There's about 3 or 4 guys in the camp, at least there, including Skinner. It looked like there could have been more, and then it looked like a small set of reinforcements arrived there as well. I don't know if those were just kind of sentry guards that were in the area that I missed, that heard the shooting and came running in, or maybe there is a Skinner Bros settlement close by. Or another Skinner camp around here somewhere, I'm not sure, but with Otis Skinner down now, the Skinner Bros shouldn't be as much of a problem in this area. Each state has kind of had its own unique gang, or its own prominent kind of gang. There's one gang that kind of runs things. You've got like the Lemoyne Raiders. Oh, didn't expect that.
You're not collecting that bounty. We got you now. You're top bounty. I hope
Looks like word has got out that Otis Skinner is in some trouble here. We gotta
You'll be all right, mister.
hightail it out of here. Get my pelts all dirty. Don't worry, those are not the old pelts that were on the back of my horse for 2 months. Those are new pelts that I will not sell for another 3 weeks. Try and put that on my list of things to do when we get back to Blackwater, along with eating and feeding Clutch now. I starved Thief half to death. Let's not continue that tradition with Clutch. Man, I don't know what it is about these bounty missions, but I could do these all day long. Red Dead 2 could be composed entirely of going out to find these bounties and have literally next to no story in it, and I would still just enjoy the hell out of these bounty missions. I don't know what it is. Maybe they would get stale after a little while, but we've done almost 1 bounty per video for, I would say, maybe the last 5 or 6 videos, and I wouldn't say it's gotten old for me. Typically, recurring side quests like that can
Nope. Mama warned about trouble like this.
become quite challenging to conquer. Not these ones, though. It's gotta be variety.
It's the curse.
Heavens!
Good God! ¡Qué locuras!
There's nothing quite as exhilarating as riding through town with a dead body strapped to the back of my horse. Nothing more suspicious than that either.
Hey, you knew this wretch is Otis Skinner.
Is that him? I hope he suffered for his sins, all right. Dump him out back, then. That's what we're paying for him. I would give you more if I could.
Yeah, well, there's good and there's bad. It's only fair.
You should know there has been a cessation in the issuance of bounties in Blackwater. Apparently, we have the budget to build a city, but not to protect one.
I was gonna say they're stopping the issuing of all bounties. Basically, that means that there's gonna be no more bounty missions available after all out of Blackwater, which, if I'm not mistaken, would mean that we've done every bounty mission in the game. Because as far as I know, I've cleared them all elsewhere. But yeah, I was gonna say, Christ, they've got all these new buildings going up. Blackwater is a thriving community in the sense that it is growing kind of exponentially. But I guess they can't afford to protect it. Isn't that ironic? I literally just passed by the butcher. What am I doing? Being an airhead and clearly not thinking. Might as well offload my pelts. Lesson learned.
Looking to sell your wares or buy some of the finest meat to ever grace this town?
I'll give you my cougar fangs. Don't think I'll be needing those. There's my cougar pelt. It's not bad. It'll buy some food for my horse.
Enjoy that.
Speaking of which,
How do you do?
You're a fine horse.
Standing in the middle of the road isn't really the best place to do this, but couldn't really think of a better place off the top of my head. I mean, how am I supposed to know that that where my horse's head is hanging determines the health of the horse? You think I'm the horse whisperer or something like that?
Hey,
I feel like you need like a horse's 101 course to play this game.
couldn't be better. Best quality product all
Hey,
year.
boy.
Get a move on, will ya?
Maybe it's just me. I think that's the right conclusion to come to. Okay, so now that that is over with, let's hit up that lumber store. Let's do this mission with Albert Cakes at this hardware store. Uncle said you could buy a pre-cut house in Blackwater while it's daytime, just to make sure that the shop will be open. We will absolutely go through whatever new issues of the newspaper may be out, whatever current issues we've missed. I do want to address that in this vid. But let's get this main story mission underway. This must be it. Lumber, supplies, and tools. Nothing like going to buy a brand new house covered in blood. I should be able to change my outfit to fix that real quick here with Clutch. If we... There we go. Basically swapped outfits to the same outfit. That way we'll get our hat back. And it'll appear as if we're wearing clean clothes. Which I think is the appropriate measure in this situation. First impressions are everything.
Excuse me, sir. You work here?
No, I just hang around here for fun. I'm joking. How can I help you, friend?
I know this sounds crazy. Some dumb old coot I know is telling me there's these houses you can buy pre-cut.
Not crazy, friend. The very latest in modern convenience. Convenient and cost-efficient. Which house do you want? Each one is entirely unique, but also the same.
Excuse me?
Perhaps I'm going too fast, sir. Do you want to buy a house?
I think so.
I'll give you a luxurious, entirely unique pre-cut house. And if you order today, I guarantee you're home in a matter of weeks, maybe sooner.
I'll take that one.
Ah, yes, we have that one in stock.
And I already got credit from the bank.
Oh, fantastic. Now, you write your name here, and you sign your name there, and you will be the proud owner of a factory-built home.
It's that easy.
Pleasure to meet you, Mr. Martin. Albert Cakes, Esquire, at your service.
You boys give me a minute.
What are you doing here? Everything okay?
I'm not sure. Probably. Fella came by the farm. Got attacked on the road. He said the Skinner brothers was hanging around. Lots of them. I left Uncle armed to the teeth back at the ranch.
Who are these two?
Guns for hire? If there's Skinner's about, we need them.
We ain't got that kind of money, Charles.
You want to get robbed for your house?
No, but...
Hey, these Skinners can be nasty. Come on. Mr. Devon, you're with me. Mr. Wayne, this is...
Milton. Jim Milton.
Sir, good to meet you.
We're gonna be heading up to the Manzanita Post.
Why?
The best smith around is that Norwegian fella up there.
So they say. You boys ready?
Yes, sir, we're ready.
Good, because you're about to get shot at over a goddamn hammer.
You want to build a house with a sniper rifle, then?
I know old Niels real well. I'll get you a good deal.
Thank you, sir. All right, then. Let's go buy us some tools.
I know the quickest way. Follow me.
So I wasn't sure if we would have any choice over the selection there. That might have been a cool feature based on the amount of money that you were able to save up at this point in the game to be able to, you know, kind of select or determine what kind of a house you end up in. But you know, you can't have your cake and eat it too. I'm sure John picked out a fabulous home. These are pre-cut houses. So, you know, they give you all they provide you with all the lumber, you know, and you get all your tools, and it's like putting together IKEA furniture. You know, there's like instructions to follow, and then you have this like pre-made house. I think like Sears catalogs, or you used to be able to, my understanding is like back in the 50s and 60s, they actually had these pre-cut homes that you could buy and put on a property. This is a very, very real thing, and I guess during this time even more so, it would have been kind of a cheap, kind of cost-effective way of getting a new home. Supposedly, some of those Sears catalog, it's probably not Sears, but one of those like famous like catalogs used to sell like these homes. I was reading a Reddit post about that sometimes, and about how some of them are still in existence even to this day. But that's kind of where John is at now. He's picked out a place that he likes, but trouble in the high hills, as lo and behold, the Skinner Bros, don't we know a thing or two about them, have been popping their heads up around Beecher's Hope, around our area. And here we are riding out with all this lumber. We're going to go see the smith, and he'll provide us with some tools. So they are obviously very concerned about the Skinner Bros robbing us. So things could get a little bit hairy here, no doubt. Crazy how easy it was back then to go under a false identity. All this time, John Marston, you know, claiming to be Jim Milton, securing credit through a bank, you know, arranging.
Is your friend a Negro or a Redskin?
Arranging the purchase of a property under the name Jim Milton. Pretty funny stuff.
I think a bit of both, for what it's worth.
Cash is cash, though it's all the same to me. I saw you getting skittish there, but don't you worry. We're not getting shot at.
Oh, yeah. I know Charles Smith. If he's got cause to be concerned, it's usually good cause.
You got a shotgun messenger sitting right beside you, all right? Now, suppose you don't know much about robbing caravans.
Not much, I guess. No.
Well, nor do I. But I know a thing or two about protecting them. And if a robber sees some strong men sitting up front, 2 of them guns for hire, then they're gonna wait for the next set of fools to come on through.
Unless they take the guns to mean they're carrying something valuable.
Yeah, exactly.
Pre-cut timber and some tools.
What? No. Wait, trust me on this. You are overthinking it. You hire a gun, you hire peace of mind and a deterrent. So I'll sit here looking big and scary, and you can concentrate on the horses.
All right. I'll do just that.
Funny said
Maybe I've done this kind of thing before. And maybe I can handle a weapon. But I'm not so different from you, partner.
I think you might be.
People wonder how you can handle it, living by your gun. But it's the same as any other occupation, really. When I get home, I put my gun on the rack and it stays there. I mean it, it really stays there. I don't even think about it. My mind's on my wife and the little ones. I'm chopping wood, mending the roof, putting the kids to bed. But when I'm out here, I'm watching the tree line. I got my gun at the ready. And I'm trying to make my employer as comfortable as possible.
That's, real good of you.
You're in good hands. I know this country well.
Good.
It's an ironic conversation for John Marston to be having with this hired gun. First of all, I don't really know if these hired guns are really guys that we can trust. That's one thing about when we were always doing missions with people from camp. You know those are comrades who can be trusted, who would a lot of them take a bullet for you. You know, you can put your life in their hands and kind of feel good about it. But now playing as just John, we have a couple friends around, an uncle and Charles, but it's just not the same kind of camaraderie. And now we're relying on hired guns, randoms that we know nothing about. But an ironic conversation because John has been struggling this whole time with an inability to find a balance between gunslinging and maintaining a family with a wife and children. He's kind of either neglected one or the other, and now here this guy is kind of boasting about him being able to do just that. You know, when it's time to work, he's scanning the tree line, looking for those Skinner Bros, protecting whatever it is that needs to be protected as a hired gun, and then he's able to go home, hang his gun up on his rack, and tend to his wife and children. So definitely some irony there. And he's saying, you probably don't know very much about robbing a caravan. Well, I mean, he has no idea that he's actually talking to John Marston and not Jim Milton. And John actually does know a thing or two about the gunslinging ways and about that life with a gun.
Right, up towards Manzanita Post.
Am I finally gonna meet this tool maker?
Now, Niels, he's an acquired taste, but boy, can he work metal. Norwegian, you see? Viking blood. Fellas up there used to worship a god with a hammer. Guess I figures they'd still be making them. I'm not sure how much English he speaks, but Niels knows tools. And he knows me, so we'll see if we can get him to give you some. They won't be free. They won't even be cheap. But they'll be worth what you pay.
I've already bought a house and hired you today. So might as well keep spinning while I'm at it.
You won't regret it.
I hope not.
You can always earn more money. But good tools will last you a lifetime.
This is the spot, just up ahead.
Okay.
This really all feels like a facade for John Marston. It doesn't feel like something that John Marston, would be doing. I don't know, maybe just based off of my experience with John Marston, it's just, he's trying so hard to live a normal life, but it just doesn't sit right. It just doesn't feel right with John Marston. It just doesn't. It's not him.
After you, Mr. Milton.
Living happily ever after with a wife and children on a ranch is just not John Marston. Okay, so we've got all the lumber from the lumber and hardware store.
Speak to the man.
And we've carried it all here to an area not too far. Oh, this is Manzanita Post, actually, as a matter of fact. And there's going to be a gentleman here named Niels, who's apparently a renowned tool maker.
Buy your tools, John. I want to get out of here.
Me too. Time to go put some more stuff on credit under a fake name.
An acquired taste. Let me do the talking.
They've made it very clear
There he is, working away.
that this Niels guy is quite a character. I mean, nothing new here. Lots of crazy characters to go around this one.
Nels, it's me. Willard Wayne.
Okay.
This is my associate, Jim Milton.
Okay.
He heard you was the best smith around. He needs some tools. He's building a ranch house up at Beecher's Hope.
Beecher's Hope, okay.
Have you got any made?
Okay. Like I said, an acquired taste, but a heart of gold, and he's the best. You off someplace, Mills?
Okay.
I think okay is the only word in Niels' vocabulary.
So Milton is working with Cake's Hardwood and Timber in town. Should I get them to pay you and add it to his bill up there?
Okay.
Come on, let's get moving.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, then. Beecher's Hope. They've been trying to sell that property for some time, hadn't they? Took a look at it myself, as it so happens. Seemed like a lot of work. Too much for me. But more power to you. Must have seen something in it I couldn't. World needs men like you. And men like me, too. Sadly. Hey, wait, hold on. Something's not right.
I was gonna say, nothing's happened yet. Oh, shit. Dead giveaway. We got the Skinner Bros.
Everyone find some cover! Hold tight, Willard! Put your head down!
You okay?
What's up for arrows? I don't like this one bit. They're coming out of the woods! We weather this. They're on the other side! Willard, how you up there? We'll get you out of here. Look out! Mr. Wayne, you okay? Building dogs with arrows. They're pulling back. Come to the wagons. Shit. All right. You alive?
For now. Mr. Devon, you okay?
Yes.
That the last of them?
I think so. There's more. They got the tools. They grabbed Mr. Wayne.
All right, you stay here, guard the wagons. Charles, come on!
Help me! Mr. Devon! I see him! Mr. Milton! Mr. Smith! Help me! Help! Hear me? I was your liver We're walking into something! Get some cover!
You mean they drew us in? We gotta get away!
They climbed up in the trees! Shoot the ones up there first! The hunt is over! Kill them! Whoa! Almost got you! Skinner Brothers! Let's shoot that bastard off his branch! Put him down, Skinner! The one up there has an angle on us! Higher! In the branches! Okay, let's move! He took him down the hill! Four! We've come the right way! I'll take your ears! They're in our way! I'll put you on them! Not down! They're down the hill!
They're like ghosts!
He's charging! Holy! Oh, I don't like the sound of that! Come on! We gotta clear these fellas! Cut him now! Go! Where's Wade? You hear anything?
Holy Christ, that was one hell of a fight. God, I got saved a couple times there by my own guys. One thing about the Skinner brothers that makes them so intimidating, arrows. First of all, arrows as a choice of ammunition is instantly going to be more intimidating. I think most people would rather be shot than have an arrow go through them. I have a feeling the arrow might be a little bit more painful than a bullet, although I've never been shot by either, so I can't really speak much on experience there. And also, the ones that aren't shooting at you with arrows, they're running at you with massive machetes. So between that, it can be a pretty intimidating, pretty terrifying experience, but took matters into my own hands there at the end there and really gun butted the hell out of about 4 of them there at the end. That was a cool little melee sequence that I pulled off there at the end. All those X's on the maps are all corpses that I killed. I've been kind of yearning for a big shootout mission like this. We had so many big shootouts towards the end of Chapter 6, big shooting galleries, big shooting scenes, and I was kind of missing that a little bit, so that was really good timing. Couldn't have come at a better time. So they took Mr. Wayne, which was the guy that was in the carriage with me that got shot with the arrow, and they ran away with him, and he's somewhere in this area, so we need to check things out here.
It's too quiet.
Let's fix these trees.
It is a bit too quiet. You are not wrong. Charles was right this whole time. He had all the reason to hire those guns, and thankfully Charles stayed on top of organizing all of that for me.
Mr. Wade! Mr. Wade!
Charles, I found the tools. Now, where's Mr.
All right. Shit.
Jesus.
Oh my God. Classic Skinner Brothers fashion.
You gotta move
That's
fast.
their trademark right there.
Let's go. Back to the road.
Nothing but gruesome murderers. Zero respect for them. He's only a hired gun,
damn
so...
it. A few minutes ago, he was chewing my ear off.
He knew what he was getting into.
Did he?
Skinner. Everyone knows.
Except me.
Later, John.
Charles, you all right carrying him?
I got it. There's no use in you getting bloody too.
Is it bad?
They opened him up pretty good. Nearly chopped his head in two.
He's dead.
God damn them.
Not even sure why we're still trying to keep this man alive. Yeah, I was gonna say.
We have to get out of here. You take him in the back wagon. Come on, help me.
I'm surprised they even took the body. You'd think that would just kind of weigh you down a little bit, but I guess it's a respect thing.
Oh my lord. What they do to him.
All right.
Yeah, you don't want to know.
Let's get out of here.
Got it.
We got the tools. We got all of the materials for my new home.
Those goddamn animals. Okay. John, I'm riding with you. Get us back to Beaches.
Every time we see our new home, we can be reminded of the bloody adventure in acquiring the materials for it.
What kind of land have I bought?
It's not the land. The Skinners move around. But they're here for now.
I thought this kind of bloodshed was meant to be over with. What was all the nonsense about civilization?
This kind of bloodshed is different. Folks have been killed, sure. For good reason and bad. But rarely just for the fun of it.
That was fun for them?
No. Not that time. Most folk don't usually put up with such a fight.
then I hope we put an end to it.
There was a caravan a few months back. Massacred. Men, women, children. Ended up like Wayne. Or worse.
Damn.
So I guess John thought that the rampant appearance of the Skinner Bros might have something to do with his acquisition of the land, but it looks like the Skinner Bros are kind of a mobile gang, and it just so happens that they're in the same area that we have chosen to get this property, in the same area as Beecher's Hope. So that's probably not the last time we're going to have to defend our goods from this brutal gang. I'm sure that is not the last time that we are going to run into them. I could only wish. So we did lose one of the hired guns, but definitely a better outcome than losing Charles, or even worse, John. But you know that's not going to happen.
Uncle! Uncle! You useless sack of crap.
I was keeping guard.
Really?
Whoa. What happened?
Skinner Brothers.
Lot of them?
Enough. Once this is done, I'll take Mr. Devon back to town and get poor Mr. Wayne buried.
Okay. Be careful.
Oh, I will. But I'm fairly sure we scared him off for now.
Bad business. Well, we'll be safe together.
Sure. If you say so.
Actually worked out that we started our stream
Hey,
off
John.
with the Skinner
I love
Bros
you.
bounty.
Don't you forget that.
John remembering some words from Abigail, who I'm sure he thinks about on a pretty daily, pretty hourly basis. Everything that he's doing is so that he can get his life back together with her. Okay, so now that we've actually received the bank loan. Oh, it said bank loan received, but it still says we only have 350. I guess that's the money. Okay, it automatically gets spent on the purchase of the house and the tools and whatever else is required. Okay, gotcha. So it's not actually falling into our pockets. Makes sense. So yeah, I mean, pretty much in terms of story missions, we have another one with Uncle here, a New Jerusalem. Now the fun part, we get to actually build the home. It's like, you know, you go to IKEA and you see all that cool furniture, and it's cool when you get to sit in it, and the idea of it in your house is cool, and then you actually got to bring the materials home and build it, and you're like, this is not cool anymore. That's exactly what I'm feeling with John Marston right here. It's like, oh my god, we get to get this great new house, things are going to get so much better. I mean, despite a few hiccups in having to kill several dozen Skinner Bros, you know, we were successfully able to acquire the materials and the tools, and now the bad part, actually having to put the damn thing together. Not going to do a whole lot more as part of this video. As we go into the next video, I will try and use that electric lantern that we acquired from revisiting Marko Dragic's cabin and finding him dead. Supposedly it leads him to that Frankenstein-like robot. It leads us to this robot that has escaped from his lab. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Not really technically an ongoing mission, but it's a little side thing that can be accomplished. So I'd like to explore that a little bit further. We should be able to do that next Uncle story mission as well. Other than that, I don't think we have a lot going on. No. Before we end this video off, though, we're going to head back into Blackwater. I thought I was a dead man there a couple times in that battle with the Skinners. The Skinner bros, for sure.
Hey.
I rely on my Deadeye so much, but typically in battle, I won't refill it. Especially during a battle like that, I find it hard sometimes to stop and focus for just Deadeye. If it's health, I mean that's, you know, I'm not playing if I have no health. But Deadeye, I usually I'll use up what I have, and then just kind of manually aim in real time from that point forward. Deadeye is a good advantage while you have it, but like right now with Arthur, I had a whole bunch of snake oils and different things that could help with my Deadeye. Right now I don't really have that much though. Just some chewing tobacco and like one or three snake oils rather. I would rather just sleep or eat to restore my cores after the battle. Typically that's how I've.
How you been?
Taken care of that particular core.
Hello.
How's life been treating you?
Stamina, I haven't found stamina runs out too much on me. I feel like I've been kind of.
Indeed.
I think I've been all right with maintaining my stamina core. So this is the saloon. We're mainly here in Blackwater to grab a bite to eat.
Careful
Maybe a
there.
drink while we're
Watch
here.
it,
Maybe
Willie.
we'll indulge.
Hello, sir. Welcome back.
It's daytime, so I won't be quite as busy.
So, what's it be?
I'll take your peach cobbler, please.
Can I get a meal?
We're still going to be overweight, but at least an effort is being put in here.
You
That's
hear
more than I
someone
could say
bought
for
that
a lot of
land
my
at Beecher's
videos.
Hope? That's been for sale for a while.
So I hear.
Those guys were talking about Beecher's Hope. Quit talking about my property. You better wash yourself. Still underweight, more so than I would like to be. I wonder if we have some supplemental snacks. I've got some biscuits. That does the trick.
You sure you can keep up?
A little bit better. At least my cores are full. Still underweight. Man, that is one thing that I have struggled with all game long. But like I said, my cores are getting there. I actually don't really think it's necessary to sleep right now, per se. I was going to maybe rent a room as well, but maybe that can wait for another time here. With Clutch, can you believe this? 2 times feeding him in the same video? Say what?
Here you go.
It's a belated Easter miracle, everybody.
You're a good boy.
There hasn't been a miracle on this day in 2,000 years. That was a Jesus joke. Was it relevant? Not at all. Was it kind of funny? That's arguable.
How can I help you?
Alright, so there's only been one new issue of the paper here in Blackwater. Blackwater Ledger number 73. We purchased number 72 a while back and kind of skimmed through that. It gave us like an update on Mary Beth being the romance novel writer, and then we ran into her and talked a little bit more about that. So that's the main reason for me going through the paper, try and get some updates on some friends from our past. It's a good way to get a snapshot of the world at this particular moment in time. And it does cover some very interesting stories. The rest of these ledgers that you see lit up here at 20 cents a piece, these are all issues from 1899. So when I was playing with Arthur, I could have purchased these ledgers if I had come here to Blackwater. I never explored here as Arthur. It just seemed like the right thing to stay away.
Make sure you come back tomorrow.
So we don't need to address those issues at all, but we'll find a nice quiet area here. Definitely not a quiet area. More like it. And we'll just stand here and awkwardly read the newspaper. This is Blackwater Ledger, issue number 73. Blackwater booming. Settlers arriving daily. Funny, I pointed this out earlier in the stream, the expansion of Blackwater. Town founded by Josiah Blackwater sees rapid growth. Every day, livery worker Lance Hopkins greets new arrivals to Blackwater as their tired horses and mules who have seen many miles of travel require new shoes and salves for cuts and scrapes. He can barely keep the forge tended and lit for all work coming in each day, telling that by all accounts he has not had a day of rest or solitude in a good 8 months. So this growth has been rapid for a fairly consistent period of time. Once a sleepy port town founded by fabled adventurer Josiah Blackwater, it is now hailed as a gateway to the west as miles of track have been laid through the area heading west to the Pacific coast. Workers arrive to join lumber and mining outfits. Stocks are traded. Investors are staking claims to the areas and surroundings, eager to build housing settlements. It is true. Everything is up to date in Blackwater. Each day, more dispatches arrive from the east saying, "We're coming to Blackwater. She's a great gal. She's a huckleberry above most people's persimmons. Show me another like her anywhere, and I am thar directly," or words to that effect. Sure. Gives you a good idea of the economical boom in Blackwater during this time period. Blackwater, obviously, a central town of the original Red Dead Redemption. Mongrel gang terrorizing area. So the theme of this video, if there has been one, it's been just the Skinner Bros, the awful infestation in this area of the Skinner brothers. The bounty mission that we did at the beginning was dealing with Otis Skinner, one of the leaders of the Skinner brothers. Our main story mission, in picking out our new house, the Skinner brothers came up there and attacked us to try and gain our goods. They're becoming a big part of the story, working their way in like a lot of other gangs did. Gangs in general, rival gangs, played a big role here in Red Dead Redemption 2, and now the Skinner brothers are doing just that as well. Murder, cattle rustling, safe blowing, a telegram from Sheriff Oswald Dunbar, we know him from the Blackwater Sheriff's Office, announced that a family traveling through tall trees has been found slain, reportedly by the notorious Skinner brothers. The mother was found strangled and the children hanging from the trees. This is typical work of the Skinner brothers. The father was found dead nearby, tortured in a gruesome and savage way. The Skinner brothers are a ragtag bunch of outcasts and criminals known for brutal ways of dismembering and thieving. not a great group of guys. They are believed to be a group of half-breeds, mixed-race outcasts, outlaw Irishmen, a Chinaman, escaped killers, and rapers. So really, we've talked about how there seems to be a large native population within the Skinner brothers. I feel like a lot of natives would have sympathized with that kind of outcast mentality of a lot of the members of the Skinner brothers at that time. So it would make sense that a lot of natives would have found themselves, working amongst the ranks of the Skinner brothers. And then to go along with them, you have, outlaw Irishmen, mixed race, outcasts, killers, rapers. It's really just a group of the worst bunch of outcasts from all of their respective groups. And they all come together to do these horrendous things. They are as keen with an Apache bow. We've mentioned their large-scale use of archery as they are with the Mexican knife. We've also discussed their liking to kind of kamikaze style running right at you with a knife. Authorities have had a difficult time tracking the gang. They use cunning to cover their tracks and rarely stay in one place for very long. They are believed to have killed more innocents than the Otis Miller boys, Butcher brothers, and the Tallulah Jetty gang combined. Wow. Evelyn Miller resigned, seduced by fame, author troubled by hypocrisy. Social theorist and philosopher Evelyn Miller has resigned his post at Princeton after increased turmoil regarding his theories on mankind and the savage, announcing that he had become troubled at his own remorseless hypocrisy. The once regaled professor and theorist on what separates the white man from that of the lowly savage left the university in haste and is reported to have retreated to the wilderness to write a book about becoming one with it. Once a fixture at society events in several states, he has long been accused by some as being seduced by fame, with a penchant for entertaining aristocrats in salons with his theories of the rights of man, nature, and the urges of savages. Evelyn Miller. Is that the guy that is selling the book?
Out of the way or lose it.
We've definitely come across that before. I remember that book that we bought off that guy, and it was a lot of nonsense. Or I can't remember off of the top of my head who Evelyn Miller is. And it's gonna bother me. So, okay, we've come across Evelyn Miller multiple times. When we were in Saint Denis with Henry Lemieux and Angelo Bronte and in with those guys, he was at that party that we attended, Henry Lemieux, the mayor's party. So he's a pretty prominent figure, pretty prominent writer. Arthur later meets Miller and is introduced to Rains Fall and Eagle Flies. This is all from the Red Dead Wiki, just particular events that we've run into Evelyn Miller. There's lots of people, including Evelyn Miller, that you can come across and interact with here in the epilogue as well. Like it says that he has retreated to the wilderness. So apparently he is actually hidden somewhere in West Elizabeth. You can track him down and spark a conversation. And he is indeed writing a new book, as this article suggests. So lots of other strangers that we've interacted with, lots of other supporting characters that we have come to know in this game. You can seek them out here in the epilogue, and lots can play out. I don't know a lot about Evelyn Miller. I don't remember a lot of particular instances with him, so it wouldn't be, you know, I don't see the necessity in seeking him out. Not really. We already did kind of our main seek out. There's so much involved in this game. Like, there's so much that you can do. It's insane. Oh my god, I can't believe that this rabbit hole keeps getting digger. It keeps getting deeper and deeper. There is, I've been told, one set of stranger missions that is completely unique to John. It can only be done as John Marston, and I'm starting to think that it might have something to do with Evelyn Miller here. Maybe not. I could be wrong. I guess only time will tell. Notorious bad man alive. Vanderlyn reported seen in tall trees. So this is actually the first time that we have heard direct mention of Dutch Vanderlyn. Now I'm very happy we purchased this newspaper. Vanderlyn reported seen in tall trees, on the run 7 years, gang members still at large. A dispatch from Tall Trees reports a sighting of infamous outlaw Dutch Vanderlyn. Keep in mind, we just rode through the Tall Trees area, who has been on a bloody run from the law for many years now. Probably a good thing we haven't run into him just yet. I don't know how I would react if we ran into him. The notorious Dutch's Boys gang once plagued the state, but it was believed to have disbanded as long ago as 1899. Two of his henchmen, Hosea Matthews and Arthur Morgan, were both killed in separate raids by Pinkerton agents that same year. Two extremely tragic deaths. Gang members Bill Williamson, Micah Bell, John Marston, and Charles Smith are still believed to be at large. A telegraph from Mexico reports that Javier Escuela is believed to reside in the mountain region there. The massive sum of money taken in the Blackwater robbery by the gang has never been recovered. It was said to have been stashed in the town somewhere after the gang escaped. Rumors that gang member Micah Bell returned to retrieve the haul still persist. Interesting. The bloody days of the Vanderlyn gang are the stuff of legend, appearing in pulp novels and even memorialized in popular song. I'd like to hear that. Law enforcement have pledged to continue searching for Vanderlyn, who still has one of the largest bounties on his head for kill or capture. Bill Williamson, Javier Escuela, and Dutch, I've mentioned before, are the three characters that we're going after in the original Red Dead. Micah Bell, John Marston, and Charles are also mentioned in this article. Although they're the good guys, if you ask me. Not Micah. I still believe that Micah will be dead by the end of this epilogue. I'm hoping anyways, but interesting that there's already been a sighting of Dutch, and that is being revealed to me through this newspaper. It's crazy because we were just in that region, and to think we could have barely missed encountering him. It's scary because Dutch is a really scary man, but so is Bill, so is Micah, so is Javier, and I wouldn't really want to come across any of them at this point either. Obviously, mention of the robbery here in Blackwater. That's one of the things that the Vanderlyn gang is most known for. The big boat robbery they did here in Blackwater that ended so poorly, and kind of where we began our game with. Again, very informing article, to say the least. I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued by that. Rumors that gang member Micah Bell returned to retrieve the haul still persist. That sentence particularly stands out to me. Cholera epidemic rages, Armadillo under quarantine. Wow, scores dead. A severe bout of cholera has broken out in Armadillo, a town still reeling from the brutal scarlet fever epidemic at the turn of the century that left a significant portion of the town dead. Reports indicate that as many as 3 in 4 residents are experiencing symptoms of cholera, including diarrhea and vomiting. Armadillo has been plagued with poor sanitation conditions for many years, adding to the spread of disease. The town has had such troubles over the years with pandemics and dust storms that some refer to the Armadillo curse and warn people to stay away. We have not had the pleasure of going to Armadillo just yet. I imagine the story will draw us there. I'm hoping it will anyways. But interesting to discover that it is under quarantine, and I'm kind of left to assume that Armadillo is of a lower socioeconomic class, just based on the mention of poor sanitation conditions, the constant spread of disease. It seems a little ghetto-ish. Marvel of Delight, a moving picture show. Viewers astounded and delighted. Not since the invention of the steam engine has a contraption bestowed such delight as the kinetograph, bringing moving pictures to the screen, delighting audiences around the world. Not a lot of importance there. Queer pranks of lightning. Injuries from strikes. The ferocious lightning storm the week before last caused several freak accidents. A bolt struck the house of Hector S. Wilton and, having traveled along an ornamental awning, shattered a window. 3 people in the room were severely shocked, and Mrs. Wilton was completely knocked senseless and required arousal with smelling salts. She has since reported difficulty walking as the electricity traveled through her and has impaired her right leg. She also suffers from rheumatism, which has since been inflamed by the electrical strike. Mr. Wilton safely fled the house, but returned having noticed that a small section of the sitting room was set ablaze by the bolts of light. Child killer. Finley, most wanted man in country. Shane Finley, wanted for multiple counts of thievery and murder, including the killing of an innocent child, has been sighted outside the Tumbleweed, Armadillo area. Tumbleweed, there's another familiar name. With a price on his head in 5 states, multiple bounties exist for his capture or kill. Famous bounty hunter James Langton is also in pursuit, saying, "I will capture and kill you, Shane Finley. There is no uncertainty about that." I'm pretty sure it was Sadie, was it not, that made mention previously of a Shane Finley? That's right. Sadie was bringing Finley in when we were helping her at one point, and James Langton, we already dealt with him, so that's the significance of that. James Langton tried to... So, we went on a mission with Sadie recently, and she's obviously a bounty hunter now. Shane Finley was a bounty. She got Shane. He's a real troublemaker, though. James Langton is a rival bounty hunter, and he tried to steal Shane Finley when we were trying to get him back to Blackwater to claim the bounty. So we had this big run-in with Langton. That was within the last 5 or 6 videos. Railroad takeover complete. Senate acts on Cornwall Rail. The Senate has passed a bill authorizing the final consolidation of the remaining lines previously owned by the Cornwall Southern and Eastern Railways. In a measure largely supported by officials with the Pacific Union Railroad, all trains and routes once owned by Cornwall will be consolidated and continue service under the Pacific name. As part of the takeover agreement, the Pacific Union Railroad has announced plans to lay track linking West Elizabeth and New Austin in the next few years. That'll cause Blackwater to boom some more, which should greatly benefit industries seeking to expand to areas of the country that previously had only been served by coach. This is definitely around the time when railroads were expanding rapidly as well. New railroad completed a grand project, our manifest destiny. The final ties were laid and spikes driven through to complete the Central Union rail line stretching through New Hanover. Passengers will be able to bypass the Grizzlies, Roads, and Scarlet Meadows, drastically reducing travel time. Now with a direct line connecting Cornwall, Kerosene, and Tar and Saint-Denis, freight and commuters will flow fast and freely. The project came with complications, including controversy over missing workers' wages and a land dispute. Representatives from towns such as Van Horn, Trading Post, and Annisburg say the new line will result in the decline of their towns. Civic planners hail the railroad as a new dawning day in American progress and history. Yeah, whereas some places like Blackwater are experiencing a boom in their economics and population, some places like the Van Horn Trading Post, not really necessary anymore. You got a lot of people who are constantly coming back and forth through that area, trading by coach, horseback, and that's kind of like a stopover for them. And with the railroad now, that kind of negates the need for such a trading post. So you'll see Van Horn and Annisburg decline, absolutely. The Art of Angling by Jeremy Gill. In my extensive travels, I've logged many a mile on steamers, paddleboats, and nautical vessels of the queerest sort in search of trophy fish and, of course, wisdom. Many a sensible young angler who sees me as their hero will ask why fishing is dull, throbbing boredom, punctuated by the wild explosion of excessive joy at a mere tap against the bait. That's because you're doing it wrong, you jackanapes, I tell them. Alright. So that's, I thought there might be an article relating back to Reverend Swanson. It's very possible it's in another issue. I'm being told that we will find out more about him through the newspaper. The amount of information that we've been able to obtain from those newspapers makes me regret not utilizing them more throughout the game. Just to kind of keep track of everything. Like I said at the beginning, this game is so large. Hello. There are so many relationships you have to keep track of. There are so many... like, how the hell do you remember all the people that you kill and specific people that you kill? But the newspaper kind of helps you keep track of all that and kind of refresh your memory. And it also, like I said, it gives you a good idea of what the dynamics of kind of what's happening around us up to the minute. So I think it's an important read. I'm glad that we were able to go through it. That's basically all that I wanted to cover in this one. Man, every time I finish, it's like a deep breath. We're 84.1% through. John purchases a pre-cut house from the Blackwater Lumberyard. Hearing the Skinner brothers are in the area, John, Charles, and two hired guns bring the lumber home via the toolmaker at Manzanita Post. So we did about 4.4% completion. I try and do as much as possible. This game is so vast that there's so many things that I haven't done and won't do in this playthrough, and I know that there's a lot of stuff that is brought to my attention constantly. I'm doing my best. I'm trying to keep on top of what we need to do. Really, and I've talked about this a lot before. I know I repeat myself quite often, but the balancing everything out in this game is so hard. Balancing out the survival of your character, the survival of your horse, the relationships of all the people, it's a very, very complex thing. But we do our best, and the conversations that we keep going are a big help. And that's about all I got for you. Make sure to like and subscribe, as I know you always do. Keep that convo going, and I'll see you on the other side.